Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out the short-term bearish divergence as we've just now wiped out a bunch of liquidity that was only just now building below the price of Bitcoin. But once again, that's now been wiped out, revealing some more liquidity towards the upside. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about my exact trading strategy for Bitcoin, and of course, talking about how the Bitcoin dominance right now is continuing a bullish relief, which is not good for the altcoin market, as we have just seen another breakdown in the price of Ethereum over the last one day, but now bouncing from this crucial area of support alongside the price of Solana still technically playing out this bearish divergence. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, obviously, like I've already been saying over the last half a week, we've now invalidated the previous bearish divergence here, but still possibly forming a new bearish divergence as the RSI on the weekly time frame is still currently sitting in lower highs. So something to watch out for in the coming days or weeks here moving forward. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, looking at the 3-day Bitcoin MACD, right now, it's technically still looking more bullish than it is bearish. Obviously, we still have that bullish crossover. We've not yet confirmed any new bearish crossover, but with that being said, we are obviously losing a small amount of bullish momentum. We're not necessarily seeing, for example, the same amount of bullish momentum that we saw back here near the end of April entering into May. But once again, overall, still technically looking more bullish than it is bearish in terms of the larger structure here, the momentum in the market. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously we already hit my exact target right here at just above 126k, which I've been targeting since around 117k. So continue to expect a lot of resistance really at around 126k to 127k. And as for significant support to watch out for, at least on this daily Bitcoin price chart, I'll be watching out for this area right here in case we were to see a further pullback. So if we actually get there, expect a lot of support in between roughly 117k to 118k as a crucial area on the price chart. And honestly, for as long as the price of Bitcoin either bounces above that area or simply holds that as support, in that situation, we're still technically forming larger bullish price structure here on the daily time frame. For example, forming higher lows and higher highs on the price chart. And so the first potential change to that bullish price structure, starting to obviously break down, flipping into the bearish direction, would be if we were to confirm a break with at least a daily candle close below around 117k. So once again, for as long as we're holding above that area, still looking okay, still looking pretty good in terms of the larger structure or the larger trend in the market. Of course, that is different to the short-term moves that are obviously just day-to-day price action. And also, while we've seen this a bit of a cool-off here, a bit of a pullback in the short term, obviously this is helping to reset the RSI out of overbought here on the daily time frame back towards more neutral levels, which can give us more room towards the upside later on to potentially continue that larger bullish trend. So keep that in mind. This is very normal to see even during a bullish trend. And if we're taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, of course, this short-term cool-off to some degree, or pullback, whatever you want to call it here, was obviously to some degree at least expected and very normal price action, a very normal or common outcome from a bearish divergence, because we had higher highs forming in the price. But while that was happening near the end of that major bullish move right here, we were starting to see a decline in the RSI, specifically lower highs in the RSI combined with higher highs in the price, which is a bearish divergence, telling us that the bullish price action is losing momentum and we're starting to get closer towards a potential pullback, or at best maybe some sideways price action, basically cooling off, maybe a bit of a setback in the short term from all of the bullish price action. So obviously I've been saying that since right around here and also around here, and that's continued to play out here in the short term. And considering, at least at the time of recording the video, we've not yet actually confirmed an invalidation signal to invalidate the bearish divergence, at least for now, it is still something to watch out for, technically still influencing the price of Bitcoin, which means here in the short term for the coming hours, maybe the coming days, that sort of time frame, expect a bit of weakness, just lacking bullish momentum. But like I talked about in my last video, obviously soon enough, if we continue to see more bearish price action, eventually the RSI will get closer towards oversold. And if we actually hit oversold here in the 4-hour hour Bitcoin RSI, usually, at least in the short term, that is a signal telling us that we're at some sort of low, not necessarily the bottom, but we're due to see a bit of a relief or a bit of a break from the bearish price action if we hit oversold. So once again, we're not there just yet, which means it is actually possible we could continue a bit more of a cool off or perhaps a bit more of a pullback as a likely scenario in the next day or so, just in the short term. But remember, all of this is looking at the 4-hour time frame. This is only talking about very short-term moves, so just be aware that these sort of moves, these bullish and bearish moves, can very quickly flip and change direction if we're looking at smaller time frames, looking at the short term. But overall, I honestly just expect a bit more of a cool off, just lacking bullish momentum, showing a bit of weakness just in the short term once again for the coming hours or possibly days. But overall, especially while we're still above around 117k, 118k, still looking pretty good in terms of the larger time frames, looking at the larger trends right now. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we just now wiped out an area of liquidity that was only just building below the price of Bitcoin a few hours ago before recording this video, which was sitting at around 120.3k to 120.4k. So once again, we've now wiped out that liquidity, which potentially stopped out some long positions, wiped out some over leveraged long positions that were late to longing that previous bullish move. And so currently we still have a small amount of liquidity building below the price of Bitcoin at around 119,000 to 119,500. But with that being said, the most significant level to watch out for in this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 1 week worth of price action, looking at the short term here, is sitting at around 126.3k to 126.5k. So basically at around the all-time high, just up here. We still have a lot of liquidity building right around there. And so once again, technically speaking, on the 4-hour time frame, that bearish divergence is not yet invalid. It's still affecting the price of Bitcoin, which means perhaps continue to expect this sort of price action at least over the coming hours, most likely the next day, maybe another 2 days, just the short term, that sort of time frame. Expect this to continue to play out a little longer, but especially if that further resets the RSI closer towards oversold, and especially resets the RSI further on the daily time frame, soon enough, it's likely we'll see a decent bounce here, and especially if that bounce occurs either above or at around 117k, 118k, or once again anything above there, we're still looking really good in terms of the larger bullish trend here. Of course, still showing at least some bullish momentum in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD, and with that liquidity building above the price, obviously at some stage it could be likely we'll head back up towards the all-time high after we first continue to play out a little bit more of a cool off. And so currently, obviously, I'm still in my Bitcoin long position that I entered at $110,000 per Bitcoin, which I shared here on the channel back then, basically around a few just minutes actually after I entered this trade. As soon as I entered the trade, I basically recorded a video and posted that video right around here when the price was still at 110k, 111k, roughly around here. And then every single day since then, I've been talking about how I'm longing the price of Bitcoin, expect more bullish price action for 110k onwards. And obviously that's played out very nicely here, as I've been saying since then. But currently, and over the last 1 day, this trade has really not changed over the last 1 day. My strategy has not changed over the last 1 day. So as you can see here, I've still already secured a lot of profits out of this trade. Basically, as the trade moves further into profits, I just slowly reduce the size of the trade at certain points of resistance. But I never really closed the entire trade at any one level, so that if the price just keeps pumping, obviously I'm still long on the price of Bitcoin here. And you can see that my stop loss has not changed over the last 1 day, still sitting at the same level in some massive profits here, so that even in the worst case scenario, that'll just close the trade automatically at that level. The rest of the trade here in around 2,500 USD in profits, even in the worst case scenario, on top of the already realized 9,600 USD profits. And so once again, nothing's really changed about this trade over the last 1 day. So that's simply my trading strategy moving forward, continuing to be long on the price of Bitcoin. But obviously, if we break below this level right here, that will stop out the trade in profits. But for example, if that were to happen, I'm just letting you know now that if we continue more of a pullback, but actually start to find a lot of support at 117k, 118k, if that were to happen, I'm not saying that will happen, but if that happens, that will potentially be another major entry point for another long position. Not financial advice, but I will keep you up to date here on the channel if of course that starts to play out. And so if you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I'm sharing these trading opportunities, these trading strategies very transparently here on the channel, showing and sharing with you exactly how I'm planning to make a lot of quick and easy profits in the crypto Bitcoin market, even despite seeing bearish price action still coming away with decent profits here. And of course, if you haven't done so already, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange in order to actually take these trades if you want to. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it will take you to this page right here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT out of a prize pool for trading bonuses here, just simply by trading crypto using that link. And without trading crypto, you could also get deposit bonuses over on BTNX. For example, if you deposit just $100, you get a $20 bonus, or if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus from BTNX into your BTNX account. Basically free money from the exchange, but these bonuses here are only available if you're actually using the link below the video to make your BTNX account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below the video to BTNX to take advantage of these major bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins just by depositing and trading crypto using the link below the video to 2bit. And on top of this, without making any deposit or any trade, you can claim a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP 3 upgrade. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit. But once again, all of this right here and these other deposit bonuses are only available if you're using the link below the video to actually make your 2bit account. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, definitely check it out. The links below the video to take advantage of these major bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the 3-day time frame, and right now the Bitcoin dominance is still perfectly playing out that bullish divergence that I've been talking about every day for weeks now on the channel. And obviously over the last few weeks, you can watch basically any one of my videos over the last few weeks and see me basically talking about how I am predicting at least a slight bullish relief, some bullish price action here for the Bitcoin dominance as a very likely scenario. Not necessarily a massive bullish move like this, but do expect at least some bullish price action for the Bitcoin dominance. And obviously this is continuing to play out as I've been predicting for weeks now on the channel, which means a lot of the major altcoins, not every altcoin, some altcoins can be outliers, but a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will likely be at least slightly underperforming Bitcoin. And so in simple terms, it's essentially the opposite of an altcoin season. So basically, when it comes to altcoins, expect similar price action for what Bitcoin is doing, but slightly worse. So if Bitcoin has a pullback, a lot of altcoins will likely pull back a little bit further than Bitcoin does. Or if Bitcoin has another bounce, a lot of altcoins might end up seeing either a sideways consolidation or perhaps even a bounce, but maybe not to the degree that Bitcoin is bouncing. For example, just performing a little bit worse than Bitcoin while we're continuing to see this bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance, which essentially means Bitcoin is gaining market share from the altcoins. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now Ethereum is still in this same sideways price range between this support and resistance. And right now this support is still sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k, and this area of resistance is still sitting in between around 4.8k to 4.9k. But as I said in my last video, just underneath 4.8k is where a lot of people are obviously just recently taking a lot of profits, basically front running this resistance. So it's really in between, actually around 47.50 to 4.9k is a major area of resistance to watch out for. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour Ethereum price chart, obviously the price pretty much perfectly rejected from this area of resistance, which was something that I warned about since before that rejection. That was sitting in between around 46.80 to 47.20, and if the price eventually breaks breaks out above that area, we have this area in between around 48.20 to 48.50. And over the last one day, we officially confirmed a break below this area of support, which was, at least for some time here, supporting and holding the price of Ethereum, sitting in between around 44.50 to 4.5k. But we could see the moment we confirmed a break well below around 44.50 with, for example, this 8-hour candle close right here below 44.50, which, by the way, that candle close confirmed at around 44.20 to 44.30. The moment we saw that confirmation signal, that was the signal that confirmed the next move. And of course, the next move is what I talked about before the move happened. I said, if we confirm a break, if we see that confirmation signal, a candle close below around 44.50, under that circumstance, expect a continuation towards this next area of support here, and then expect a bounce from around that area. And obviously that's exactly what we have seen play out as predicted. The moment we saw that break right here actually confirm, that could potentially be an open signal to open a short position, for example. Not financial advice, but essentially that's how I would trade a move like this. Basically, all you really need to know is a possible entry and a possible exit when it comes to a trade. You don't even have to really know the direction beforehand. You just need to wait for the entry signal, which would be a confirmed break of a certain level, in this case a break to the downside, to open a short position, and then of course a potential take profit point, which would be perhaps the next major point of support in this example. Not financial advice. And so once again, as I said over the last few days since before this move even started, I said if we break below around 44.50 with confirmation, expect a quick move down towards this area of support, sitting in between around 42.50 to 42.80, and then expect a bounce from around that area, within that area. And that's exactly what we did. The moment the price precisely entered into this area, not above, not below, but exactly in the area, we perfectly bounced from that area, which is what I've already been saying since basically a few days ago, since all of this move actually even started. And now you might be wondering, well, what if we ultimately break below this area of support as well? Well, in that circumstance, the next area of support will be the next price target. So once again, for now, we're still holding above this area, so continue to expect support in between 42.50 to 42.80. But if we confirm, for example, a candle close below 42.50, and then especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, the next area of support, the next target, will be sitting in between around 40.60 to 4.1k. And also keep in mind that this short-term bearish divergence is also technically still active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal, which means overall expect weakness and a lack in bullish momentum for Ethereum. Yes, we could see little bounces here and there from certain points of support along the way, but overall don't expect significant bullish momentum, at least not right now, just in the short term here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, right now Solana is continuing a rejection from this level of resistance at roughly $230. Really continue to expect a lot of resistance at around 230 to 232, especially based on these latest candle closes at these latest short-term high just here, and also expect more resistance at roughly 250 if the price ultimately gets back up there. And as for short-term support, we're currently just about testing this area of previous resistance, flipping into new support, sitting at roughly 215 to 216. But if we break below that area, the next significant support to watch out for is this area in between around 190 to 200. And that is definitely a crucial area that the price needs to hold above in order to remain within this larger bullish price structure. And in the immediate short term, obviously here on the 4-hour time frame and also slightly larger time frames like the 6-hour chart, we still have a bearish divergence active here in the short term, still technically influencing the price of Solana. So obviously we came very close to potentially invalidating the bearish divergence over the last one day, but we never really confirmed a proper breakout in the RSI above this line of resistance. But of course, especially above a previous high, like I said in my last video, ideally in order to properly invalidate the bearish divergence, we need to actually see some sort of breakout above this previous high in the RSI in order to properly invalidate the bearish divergence. But right now we're still forming lower highs in the RSI, indicating obviously a lot of weakness right now, at least in the short term. So continue to expect either at best some choppy sideways price action, quite possibly a little bit more of a pullback as a likely scenario in the coming hours or days here. Once again, just looking at the short term, and as always, pay attention to what Bitcoin and what the Bitcoin dominance is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically we still have that massive bearish divergence to watch out for, even though of course we did gain a small amount of strength with some sideways price action over the last few weeks or so. Of course, technically speaking, we've not yet confirmed an invalidation signal to actually invalidate this bearish divergence, at least not as of right now. So still something to watch out for, as I've been saying since basically back in July. And if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart right now, in the immediate short term, XRP is currently testing a crucial area of support, which is this area where we've seen many major bounces from over the last few months, and that's sitting in between around $2.70 to $2.80. And so considering the fact that we've not yet confirmed any break below this area of support, and also considering the fact that we've previously seen many major bounces from this area, obviously this is still a strong area of support to watch out for, which means we could likely see another bounce here moving forward, as we've seen many times over the last few weeks and months here. But if in this case the price actually breaks below around $2.70, with especially a daily candle close below 270, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it into new resistance, in that case right there, that would be extremely bearish for XRP, not just in the short term, but potentially for the coming weeks, if not months. That would be very bearish actually, because we have very bearish price structure that would be forming if we break this area. Once again, this is really the last area that is holding the price of XRP and preventing the price from potentially seeing a much further drop, because we can see that even though more recently we've been in a bit of a sideways price range, if we're looking at this larger structure on the daily time frame, it does resemble a bit of a descending triangle pattern, as we can see relatively horizontal lows while we're seeing relatively descending highs, obviously lower highs for the most part. And so that possible larger bearish price structure would really come into play and really start confirming and playing out if we see a confirmed break below $2.70, and especially if we fail to get back above that area. So once again, this is crucial now for the price to actually hold this area and bounce from this area in order to avoid potentially something much worse. And what I mean by that is at least a drop down towards around 240, 250, quite possibly a drop down towards almost $2. I'm talking about potentially almost a $1 drop in the price of XRP could be a realistic scenario if we fail to hold this area right here. And so once again, definitely a crucial area to watch out for. And as for resistance, in case we see yet another bounce from this area, expect some resistance at roughly 293, give or take. And of course, major resistance right here in between $3.10 to $3.15, which is exactly where the price rejected from at this latest high, as I've been warning about since before that perfect rejection. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, obviously Chainlink is simply just following the rest of the market, but of course underperforming Bitcoin as a result of that bullish divergence in the Bitcoin dominance and that bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance, causing a lot of altcoins like Chainlink, for example, to just basically perform similar price action to Bitcoin, but a little bit worse than what Bitcoin is doing. And so currently the price is just somewhat struggling with momentum. Obviously, we're also not really seeing a lot of bearish momentum either, which is at least some good news, but not really seeing bullish or bearish momentum. So overall, expect basically some choppy sideways price action, but slightly leaning towards the bearish direction as a very likely scenario in the coming hours and days here. Just talking about the short term, expect basically a bit of weakness, but lacking bullish momentum as a very likely scenario, considering what is happening with Bitcoin in the short term, and also considering that bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance. That really basically reveals that as a very likely scenario for Chainlink and a lot of altcoins. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, we're just now potentially starting to break back below around $22, which means that could start flipping into new resistance again. And of course, expect more resistance at roughly $23 and major resistance at around $25. And really the next significant area of support to watch out for is in between $19 to $20. But honestly, once again, just pay attention to what the price of Bitcoin and what the Bitcoin dominance is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of these altcoins. Is a very reliable indicator. Just paying attention attention to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance here. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, like what I'm doing right now with my own money, then check out the links below the video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can take trades just like this for yourself, even during bearish price action, to continue to make a lot of quick and easy profits in the market, no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.